That was a cliffhanger too. That was sucked. Nobody reached out to me. I just really wanted to be part of Voltron. I love the series. I love the original series. To play Hunk was like a huge deal for me. And I came in, I read for it, and they put me through the ringer. I had to come in a few times. We had to re-record a few times, young me up a little bit. But yeah, I just fought for it. I really wanted it, and I'm like, just saying to Tim, I'm like, I couldn't be more ecstatic to be a part of it. It means a lot to me.
Sweet. I also originally came from on camera as well, but I've been doing a lot of VO for a while now. And when this came through, I like Tyler really wanted to be a part of it just because I remember the original show. It was one of the shows that I always watched and one of the toys I played with, and I really wanted to be a part of it. And then once I found out that I was auditioning to play like the leader, I was like, oh come on, I have to get this now. And it was a really kind of a grueling casting process because I had originally auditioned for it. I think when I first auditioned, I auditioned for Shiro and Lance, and then I got a callback. And then for the callback, I actually had to go in for it. And at that point, they gave me Keith to read. And then they told me, like maybe 2 weeks later, that they went another way, that they definitively I wasn't going to get cast for Shiro. And so I was kind of bummed out. And then 6 months later, I got a call from my agent, and they're like, they want you to read for Shiro. I was like, wait, what?
Was it that long after?
Well, maybe 4 months. It was months after.
Yeah.
Months after.
It took a long time to get the cast together, yeah.
And I was like, what? I thought that they definitively went another way. So then I went in, and this time when I auditioned, I wasn't auditioning in like a recording studio or anything. I was auditioning at like a conference room at DreamWorks with like a mic set up and like, I guess, were you in there?
What? Really?
Yeah.
Shit, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was weird. And so
That's so intimidating, man.
I read that.
We did a lot of those.
And then they
jumped in.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I've never done an audition like that. And then they came back saying that I got it. Well, kind of. That was kind of how it went. Like they're like, we're gonna have you record like a few episodes, and see how it meshes with the rest of the cast. So for like most of the season that we were recording, I kept thinking they were going to replace me. I was like, I don't have this yet. And so I kind of always felt like I had that hanging over my head, but I'm here and the stuff's up there, so I guess I'm still here. Yeah, man, it was a part that really played with my emotions because I really wanted to get it. I thought I didn't have it, then I thought I did, but I didn't, kind of, and then yeah, so it all worked out. I love working with everybody on the show. Everybody's fantastic. Everybody plays their characters amazingly, and this is probably my favorite thing I've ever been a part of.
I would say Shiro is a really tough part to do because it's a lot of like the lines on the page. I would say as a writer are kind of lame a lot of times where it's just
There's like, do you want it more militant or less militant?
Yeah.
Do you want it more emotional, less emotional?
Yeah, it takes like you've got to have some kind of gravitas where you buy like this guy really is the leader.
Thank you. You
He's
read my mind.
You know, everyone's
so
gonna
much.
fall behind him. And we had another Shiro for a couple, I think maybe just like one episode, and it wasn't happening. Like it wasn't everyone's like.
I was in the recording with that guy. Yeah.
And super nice guy. But,
Oh, totally. Yeah, but it was
but it was
apparent.
just
Yeah.
like, it's very difficult. And Josh nails that so hard.
Thank you
It's
so
just
much.
like absolutely. Once he did it, it was like, yeah, we're done. Tyler was. We always were. Like as soon as he came in, this Hunk is a real strong comic character, and obviously he's got that great sensibility. He's incredibly funny. And so it was always just like, this is done. There was never.
You make me pee my pants sometimes. You're so funny.
I won't say it was never up for discussion because there were a lot of discussions.
Yeah, there
where
was,
it's like,
yeah.
no, let's do this. So.
Exactly. Why Voltron? Why not something else? Or
Are you offering me a job?
I have an anime website.
Like, are you married to the whole Voltron thing, or are you?
Well, let's talk.
Anime is something that's near and dear to me. I grew up on it, and Voltron is one of those hallmarks in Japanese animation. You know, that sort of brought Japanese animation to the mainstream or helped.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm just curious, why Voltron?
Well, I think, thank you. Voltron is definitely like,
Thank you.
the first thing that got me into Japanese animation was Voltron and Battle of the Planets. Those were the two I used to watch when I was a kid.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I I think at the time had no idea that it was Japanese animation. I just sat down and watched cartoons, and that was it, my involvement. Why Voltron? I think we were all coming off The Legend of Korra, which is all very anime inspired, and so I think that DreamWorks had just bought the property, and once they said, would you guys like to work on Voltron? We were like, yeah, absolutely, we want to work on Voltron. So it was an easy decision. But I don't know what the lasting power is. It's got something. Teamwork. Go with that.
What drew you guys to the parts that you're playing? What about the character drew you in?
It's weird. I've tended to end up playing a lot of leader types. That's for some reason that's what I've ended up playing. So it kind of seemed like a logical fit. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there was anything so much that drew me to the part as much as just the project in general. Like, honestly, like I wouldn't have cared if I got cast to play Lance or Keith or anybody in the show. It's something I grew up watching, and it was always kind of like a voiceover bucket list for me that I was like, okay, these are like shows that if they ever come back, I want to be a part of those shows, and Voltron was always one of the ones at the top of the list.
Yeah, in the animation world, Voltron for me is the equivalent of like, I need to be in the Star Wars franchise at one point, right, on camera. In the cartoon world, you have to be in Voltron at one point. And so I put them on par. Yeah.
So, knowing that you were going to be in a part of a revival series that has a big fan base, was there any like, I don't know if necessarily fear is the right word, but like you're like, oh man, I got to do this right, or man, I have to get this. But like, did any of that come up, and if so, how did you handle that or get through that?
Well, like we said, the initial process of coming in and reading and even recording the show and watching the cast come in and out and like literally be, I don't want to say fired. It's just we were trying, everything was being tried on. So many moving parts. It was very obvious to me that they all wanted to get it perfect. Everything needed to be the way it needed to be, or it just wasn't going to be worth it at all, which I think we would tend to agree with. Even though it sucks to lose a job, you would never want to be the voice in a cartoon that like stood out as like the shitty one. So yeah, there was some pressure. I mean, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as performers always, regardless. But yeah, when there's like a benchmark or something to look back on and sort of aspire to, yeah, I would say. But we also had a freedom to create these sort of, like we were talking about, the depth of character and the depth of the show. There's a lot more insight into who these guys are in this series than I ever experienced with the original Voltron. And we were sort of, coupled with the amazing writing and the direction and everything, we were able to sort of create a new thing. So it wasn't so much recreating or paying, like direct homage to something. We were allowed to sort of create a new thing while still,
Yeah.
Well, because
honoring the original.
The original was I mean, I'm sure was a compilation of The Lion and Die River. So with a different story written over the edited pieces. So as they were kind of pointing out, the original did have a lot of holes, and there, but I love how this
all the 80s. Yeah.
I love how this show really kind of aims to fill those holes and almost, I mean, it aims to become a definitive version of Voltron because it's taking what the original was and expanding upon it while still respecting it.
It's the comprehensive version, I think, of Voltron.
Absolutely.
Not the spark notes.
No, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's been so long since classic Voltron that I don't think anybody expects us to be doing a straight up remake like that.
No.
one would want to watch it.
Because then
There's probably a few. There's probably a few. To be honest, yeah.
And they were here tonight.
Like that looks like bullshit. Sell out, modern bullshit.
But yeah, I mean, there's always a little bit of pressure whenever there's something that has such a big fan following. But I mean, all of us were fans of the thing as well. So it's also almost a self-imposed pressure because we want it to live up to what we remember. But I have to say that from the first script that I read and the first time that I stood in a room with all of these guys and we did an episode, all of my worries and fears and pressure and all that just kind of evaporated because I was like, this is going to be awesome.
That's
the writing was great. I hadn't even seen any artwork. I mean, I'd seen a little bit of artwork. I hadn't seen any of the other characters. I'd just seen my own. So I mean, I didn't even see the robot. I didn't even see. I really didn't see anything. But just seeing the stories and seeing where it came from a writing standpoint, and after hearing everybody's interpretation of their parts, I was like, this is going to be great.
It's a real testament to the meticulous nature, the fine-tooth comb that these guys went over everything with to find a cast in there that just matched up, I think, perfectly with the material. And same thing. Like as soon as all the cast that there is now were in a room together, it was like, oh, this is going to be pretty easy. Like we literally are cracking each other up in there all the time, or like scaring each other in the case of Neil, or inspiring each other. Like I routinely find myself leaving the recording sessions feeling like fulfilled. Something really cool is going on in there.
Come up with the because it's about trying to mimic exactly what the series is.
Sure. Mine is close to my own voice. Basically, the only changes that we really made is that myself and Steven Yoon, who plays Keith, we kind of have similar vocal tones. So we ended up having to push my voice down a bit, pitch-wise, and kind of move his up a little bit in order to differentiate the two. But other than that, I mean, it was really just up to us.
Keaton, Keaton, right? You're EA? Yeah.
How do you spell your name real quick, sir? Just out of curiosity?
Be on this.
Sorry. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Never mind.
Coming off the Legend of Korra, I'm not trying to take the spotlight from you guys. I'm just curious. How do you feel when people say that the Legend of Korra is one of the writers and young female characters?
That's the
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, it's something, there's been an explosion in like lead female characters in not just animation, but in action roles,
Right.
Young adult literature. And I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's a great thing. We always tried, even in Avatar, to bring out our female characters. And on Voltron, we're doing the same thing, Princess Laura. And, I think it's just about servicing every character, It's not really about, I mean, obviously, of course, she was the star, and so you could really get into her psyche. But really, it's just about, not limiting what any of your characters do or how they think or, what their viewpoints are, and just approaching them like a human being and just trying to, like, express that in the most true way.
Great answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's a smart guy. He's a great guy.
What are you guys' favorite animes? I know you mentioned Gotcha, but what about you guys? And I'm going to set a little bit of restriction here. Everything is like One Punch, Naruto, Attack on Titan. And if those are your favorites, that's great. But I'm curious, how deep your knowledge is. I sound so pretentious.
No, you sound like an inquiring mind, and you want to know.
I'm just curious.
She's inquiring.
I'm going to give you maybe a bit of a stock answer. I don't know, but honestly, the thing that initially for me introduced me to anime, or Japanimation, I guess, was Vampire Hunter D. Do you remember that?
That's not a stock answer. That's
No.
a good answer.
Okay, yeah. And so that one for me was like I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I got into a bunch of other stuff after that, because that
Right.
introduced me to it. But that still holds strong as one of my favorite ever.
I was introduced to Samurai Champloo because my buddy Steve Bloom's in it, and that's one of my favorites. I love the music. The music to me is what initially, aside from Steve, drew me to the project, and then I couldn't stop watching it. And then I never saw the show, but I read the books. Was Initial D, because I'm a huge car fan, and drifting especially, and I mean I tinker with my cars all day long, and that was so much fun to me. I really enjoyed Initial D.
You tinker with your balls all day long?
My balls, yes.
Me too. Or is it something else?
Tinkering with them right now.
Yep. I'm a real ball tinkerer.
Bill Tinkering. Pretty good.
Working on a series that is going to be streamed and run those two. What is that different than your normal weekly series where you guys turn to it over? Because I know you're on.
Yeah, I am. I'm on a binge-worthy show, I guess. On Hulu. I would say, I guess there's not that many. I was gonna say there's a big difference between like a live action show or a cartoon show, and how how it would change how you make it. I don't think how you view it would change very much. If it's a show you want to watch, you're so glad it's on demand, or you can stream it. You can just keep watching it over and over again. But as far as how you create a show or how you're creatively involved in a show, if you got A/B live action and animation, good question for Tim. I don't really know. I feel like when we're in the booth recording, we don't really feel much of that. It's just like we're in the booth, we're recording that episode, we're trying to get it all together and make each other laugh. And when you're filming a show like Deadbeat on Hulu, and it's a streaming show, there are things we do, you have a freedom within sort of inside jokes and keeping things sort of more insular, and you can have arcs that people might not have the attention span for normally if they weren't going to watch it in 2 days, but with a show like Voltron, which is so in-depth and so large in its scope, I don't know. That would be a really good question for Tim.
Our process is so long. Anyway, I was just saying to you guys, I started working on this 2 years ago. So, the writing happens so far in advance before you get the cast and before you're making anything that it really doesn't make a difference, whether you're going to drop 13 at a time or you're going to do it one at a time. The only difference is, I was talking with one of our other writers the other day about this, is when you're doing them weekly, you get a lot of reaction to each one, like the online reaction, and then you're kind of reading the fan comments and oh, they like this, wait until that next one.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's going to be like to do it all at once. If people are going to just write tons about it all at once, or they're going to it was good, and move on. I don't know.
I'll be watching it.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and we all look forward to seeing it when it premieres in June, correct?
June, yeah.
Was it June 10th or June 11th?
I think they just said June 2016.
Here if you need it.
I'm Tyler Labine. I play the role of Hunk, the Yellow Lion.
I'm Josh Keaton. I play the role of Shiro, the Black Lion.
I'm Tim Hedrick. I play the role of the writer.
That's the best role.
Very convincing.